Okay, good morning, everybody. We are at the bottom of Daf Yutes Amud Beis. More Gemaras. Bring up a Gemaras, bitte. Brachos, not Makos. We're at the bottom of Yutes Amud Beis. The first word on the line is Yisura. We're holding where it says Toshema. There you got it. That's the right page. About 5-6 lines from the bottom. Toshema. So what are we discussing here in the Gemara? We're discussing the Shaila. What happens if a person is in the middle of the street and he discovers that he is wearing clothing which is shatnez? What does he do? Could he walk into a private place and then remove his garment, or does he have to remove it immediately in the middle of the street, even though it'll be a great embarrassment for him? So the Gemara says, even right there, standing in the street, he has to remove his garment because he's being over this of shatnez actively every moment that he wears that shatnez. And the Gemara quoted a pasuk, "Ein chachma, ein tvuna, ve'ein eitzel neged Hashem." If there is a loisasa that you're being over, you have to remove it immediately. So the Gemara brought various rayas to try to disprove this idea that we see that for kavod abrius, a person may be over on an ism and atayra. And the conclusion that we came to so far is the Gemara kept on saying the same point. To be over a ism de rabbanon, we forgo that ism de rabbanon for the purpose of kavod abrius. But to be over ism and atayra, there's no heter, there's no permission for a person to be over for the honor of an individual. So the Gemara, this is the last proof that the Gemara will bring for this subject, and the Gemara will actually introduce a new rule regarding this question. Toshema, come in here at Ayah, Vila Chaisai. It says in a pasuk Vila Chaisai. So this is a pasuk where it says regarding regarding a nazir. Correct. A nazir may not be metame himself to his sister. The Gemara, the pasuk there goes a whole list: his father to his mother to his brother to his sister. He may not be metame. So it's an extra pasuk because it says there clearly he may not be metame to anybody, and then the pasuk spells out not to his father, not to his mother. So it's an extra pasuk. Rashi here brings that in the Medrash it darshans every single one of them. La'aviv, la'imay, la'chaisai. So here we're going to focus on la'chaisai. What do we darshan from the word la'chaisai? What is it coming to teach me? So this pasuk is going to actually teach me something that's not related to a nazir, which the Gemara does many times. If it's not relevant for that context of what the pasuk is speaking about, we can use it for a drasha for a different case. A person that's on the way going to shech his carbon pesach, or v'lamul as benoi, he's on his way to go perform a bris for his son. V'shama shemeis lemeis, and he hears that he has a relative that passed away. Yochel, I would think, yachzer v'yatame, he should return to the relative that passed away, and he should make himself tameh. And what happens if he makes himself tameh? He won't be able to be makriv the carbon pesach, and also he may not be able to do the bris for his son on the 8th day on time. And what's important about both of these mitzvahs, Pesach and Milah, they're the only two mitzvahs that if you don't perform them, there's a chi of kares. Usually kares is only for a loisese. These are the only two that there's kares for.
You have to be with tar for it to do it.
No. You don't. But it may prevent him of doing it in time anyways. Why? Pesach, if on the 8th day, if he's going to return to the mace and he's not going to have the time, he's not going to be able to do the bris. Yeah. So I would think that he should be metame himself and forgo on these mitzvahs. Amret lo yitame. No, he should not be metame. That's the halacha. Yochel, now I would think, because the Pesach and the Milah take precedent, they're more important. Yochel kishem she'enim metame lahem. So now I would maybe take this conclusion to a further extent and say that just like you can't be metame in a case where you're going for Pesach and Milah, when you have a relative that passed away. If you encounter a meis mitzvah on your way to a carbon pesach or a bris, you also shouldn't be metame.
What's the action?
If a person is going to occupy himself with the actual burial, he's going to become tameh. So if you encounter a meis mitzvah and there's no one there to bury the meis mitzvah, you bury this. So if you bury the person, you become tameh. Yeah, correct.
The shama shemeis lemes. Is that
correct.
His sister?
Yes, correct. He heard a relative that passed away. That was the first part of the Braisa.
Regardless of these mitzvahs, no?
To what?
From Pesach and Milah and all these
No.
mitzvahs, not
No. No, he's not potter.
It's
Okay,
alright.
say that the first.
Shama Shaloi Shemes is a einen.
This could be 3 days before Pesach.
Possibly, maybe it's not that he heard that she passed away, and it's not the first day. Part of it doesn't pater him from Pesach Hamila.
You can't bring Korban Pesach.
If he'll become Tomei, but he's asking if he heard that she passed away, he's not potter from the Pesach. So now I would think if he encounters a mes mitzvah, that he should also ignore the mes mitzvah, continue on his way to be mark of the Korban Pesach. Talmud Loimar, that's why the pasuk says Vila Chaisai. La Chaisai Hudeina Metame. The pasuk is teaching that for a sister, for a relative, he doesn't stop to go to the Korban Pesach. Aval Metame Hu lemes mitzvah. He may be Metame for a mes mitzvah and not be able to be deiche the Korban Pesach. So what do we prove from here? Zak the Gemara Amai. Why should he do this? Leime, let us say, ein chochme ve'ein tvune ve'ein eitzel neged Hashem. If he has an obligation for a Korban Pesach, to bury a mes mitzvah, Rashi says, is kavod abrius. It's a kavod for a human being that's lying on the ground, a dead body, to go and bury him. So you deiche the kavod abrius, and you attend to the kavod abrius, and you deiche the Korban Pesach. What's not a mitzvah? That's what Rashi here says. Burying a mess is only kavod abrius. There is a big discussion in Rishonim about it, but that's what Rashi says. So therefore, we can prove the same thing regarding a person that has shatnez and he's wearing shatnez in the street, that he could attend to his own honor and walk to a private place before he pulls off his garment and be over on the loisas of shatnez.
Couldn't you argue off somebody he's not the only person that...
No, mes mitzvah is an individual that nobody else could do the mitzvah. He's the only one that could bury this mace. Right? No one else is going to do it. That's what a mes mitzvah is. There's no one else available. And for the Gemara, shani hasam. That case is different than the person that's wearing shatnez in the street. The chesiv v'la chaysai. No, sorry. First the Gemara answers shani hasam. Well, it's a befedish pasuk. The pasuk says v'la chaysai, and it's teaching me this incident that for a meis mitzvah you attend to the honor of the meis mitzvah and you don't go to do your Korban Pesach. So there's a befedish pasuk. So you're not being over on the Korban Pesach. The Torah itself is telling you to do this. If the Torah is saying to do this here, let's learn from here to all other places that the same rule applies.
Wasn't it the Havamina?
No. First the Gemara is saying, yeah. And then the Gemara is saying, okay, it's only there. There's a special pasuk. But now the Gemara is saying, V'ligmar mina. Let's learn from there. And for the Gemara, Shev al taisa shani. In that case, the person is not directly doing an action to uproot the mitzvah of Korban Pesach. He's being metame himself for the mes mitzvah, and then when it comes the time of the Korban Pesach, he's just sitting back and not bringing the korban because he can't anymore. Whereas the person that's wearing the shatnez, every moment that he wears the shatnez, it's considered to be the kum v'aseh, he's actively being over a loisasa. So therefore the Gemara is basically introducing a new rule, and this is a machlokes whether this is la halacha la ma'aseh, but the Gemara says that you could, for kavod abrius, even for a lav min ha-Torah, you could be over an alav min ha-Torah for kavod abrius as long as it's a shav al tasa. As long as you're not doing something actively to be oike something min ha-Torah. As long as it's a kum v'aseh, then it's not permitted.
It's not mamash a kum v'aseh. It's not kum v'aseh
Where?
because
By,
he's wearing it.
That's considered to be kum v'aseh.
That's
Wearing
what's actively
something
doing
is
this.
a kum v'aseh.
It's not shav al taisa, but it's not.
That falls in the category of kum v'aseh. By the Korban Pesach, he was metama to the mes mitzvah a day, hour before, and later he's just is doing nothing. That's Rav al Tasa. Sagt die Gemara weiter, Amale Rav Papa la Abaye. Rav Papa said the following thing to Abaye. Mai shna Rishonim. What is the difference that Rishonim, earlier generations, this Rachesh Lahu Nisa, miracles were performed for them. Umay shna Anan, what's the difference that us, in the times of the Amirayim, the Loimus Rachesh Lo Nisa, we don't experience the same miracles? He wants to know, what's the reason? What are we doing wrong?
Funny you should ask.
Sagt the Gemara, Mishum Tnuye, is it because of the learning that they learn much more than us? So Rav Papa argues, no, we're actually learning more than them. Because Bishani de Rav Yehuda, in the times of Rav Yehuda, Kuli Tnuye ben Nezikin Have, so they only learned the Sugyas, the Mesechtes of Nezikin, which is actually a big, Baba Kama, Baba Metzi, and Baba Basra. And we learn much more than them. Va'anan kamasnin and Shitta Sidra. We learn the entire Shas. And, right? That's the plan. And V'chihavamati Rav Yehuda. And another thing the Gemara says, when Rav Yehuda came Ba'uktzin, he came to the Masechta of Uktzin, which is not a very common Masechta to learn. And he came to a Mishnah where it says, Ha'isha shekeveshes yerek b'kedeira, a woman that is preserving vegetables in a pot, and it's a halacha there that's negayah to the tumah and the tar of the vegetable, not negayah here the details, but when he came to that Mishnah, V'amrila, and others say, when he came to another Mishnah in Masechta Taris, Zeisim shekvasham b'tarfeyan, olives that he's preserving it together with the leaves, tahirim, so the leaves are tahir. Omar, so Rav Yehuda said, Havayis the Rav Shmuel kechazina hacha. These Mishnahs are so difficult for me, like the questions of Rav and Shmuel. They had all kinds of difficult questions that were difficult to answer. So when he learned these Mishnayos, he didn't have a Bekiyas. He didn't have the understanding of these Mishnayos. Ve'anan, and us, komasninon be'uktzin, kleisa mesifta. We learn in the Mishnah of Uktzin, and we have 13 different ways, and 13 different ways of understanding these Mishnayos. We learn the entire Shas, and we understand it much better than them. This is what Rav Papa is saying. So why don't we have the same miracles that they have? And Ve'ilu, going back to Rav Yehuda, Ve'ilu Rav Yehuda, ki aveshalev chad mesaneh, when he removed even just one shoe because of a pain that he had, Asa mitra, immediately the Eibishter responded and rain came right away to alleviate his pain. Va'anan, mitzarino nafshin, we pain ourselves, mitzvah katzavchinon, and we scream, we shout out to Hashem, v'les the mashkach bon. And we don't see any response. Why are we different?
Papa and me were in the same boat. It was the same question.
Taking off a shoe is like representing like he's about to start a tinus, stuff like.
Possibly.
It's funny. I've never seen
It's
before.
It's a sign of suffering.
It's
Sign of
better
suffering.
than the first generation. It's like it's. I've never
Yeah.
seen not wearing shoes on Tisha B'Av.
Ach shadara. Amalei. So he answered him. Abai answered him. Kamoi. Previous generations have a kamasri nafshayu akdushas Hashem. We're ready to give up their life for Kedushas Hashem. I'll explain in a moment what this means. The Gemara actually does not mean they were ready to give up their life. They were ready to act in a way with Mesiras Nefesh to sanctify Hashem's name. Anan le'masra nafshin Kedushas Hashem. We, however, do not act in the same way to sanctify Hashem's name the way they did. And the Gemara brings us a story, an incident that happened in order to explain exactly which Kedushas Hashem the Gemara is referring to. There's an incident that happened with Ravada Barava. He saw this Gayish woman, the Havas Levisha Karbalta. She was wearing this garment. A Karbalta is some kind of a garment. According to some opinions, it's a hot red garment, which is very, very provocative. Bishuka in the marketplace. Sava the Bas Yisrael. He thought that she was a Jewish woman. Come, he got up, karemina, he tore it off of her. It turned out the kutasi, that she was a Gayish woman, she wasn't even Jewish. So how could he do such a thing to her? And she came and demanded of him to pay her for the garment. Shaimua, they evaluated the value of the garment. Ba'arba meya zuzi, a very expensive outfit. It was 400 zuz. Amallah, he said to her, Mashmach, what's your name? Omrale, she responded to him, Matun. My name is Matun. Amarlah, so he said to her, Masun. It's a play on words because Masun is very close to the Aramaic Masayim or Mason. Mason in Aramaic is 200. Masun, so twice 200 is Arba Meyazuz Shavia. You're worth 400 zuz.
What about the Baishas of Gam to pay? The Rebbe brings this in the Sikha, right? This
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
I'm not sure if I didn't see it. The
So
Gabi
it's these
Tznius.
campaigns came from?
I didn't see it in the Sikha
Very
Gabi
garments
Tznius,
that
but
are
I'll tell you
expensive.
what I did see in the Sikha from the Rebbe. I saw two things. First of all, I saw in a letter from the Rebbe where the Rebbe points out when the Gemara says that we're not Meister Nefesh and Kiddush Hashem, the Rebbe says we befeidish are. The Gemara is not making a blanket statement that in earlier generations there was Mesiras Nefesh and in later generations there wasn't. Of course, it's not the case. Yidden have been dying of Mesiras Nefesh ever since this Gemara was recorded. Every generation, and Yidden are ready to die on Mesiras Nefesh. Alter Rebbe Tanya says that even a Kal Shebekalim is ready to die on Mesiras Nefesh. The Gemara here is referring specifically to this incident of Ravada Barahava because it's a unique story. just to save a Jewish girl of being over an Isser, and not even Isser min HaTorah, an Isser midrabanan, that is not to wear this type of garment to provoke people in an immodest way, to save her from another rega of an Isser, he was ready to give up his honor, and even ready to pay money for it, and he was so such a kanoi that he did it to give up his own honor and money. This type of Mesiras Nefesh is unique for Rav Ada bar Rava. That's one thing that the Rebbe points out. The other thing that Rebbe points out over here in this Gemara, the Rebbe brings this in a Sikha, I think it is. It's printed in Chelik Yud Ches. You can take a look. It's a Meiredig Sikha. The Rebbe there says that if the Gemara records this story, obviously we could learn from it today as well. Elamai, what does the Rebbe say? What should we learn from this? So the Rebbe there quotes the Sikha of the Frierdiker Rebbe that today when you walk in the street and you see another Yid, you don't approach the Yid and ask him for money. You don't approach the Yid and like the way it describes over here in the Gemara, but you approach the Yid and you say to him, ich darf nicht dein Geld, ich darf nicht gar nicht, ich darf das aus Anton Tfilin, be mekayim a mitzvah. That's what you approach in the street. And a person thinks to himself, who am I to go approach this person? It's his private life, and why am I mixing into his business, and why am I asking a person in the street to do such a thing? So that's the lesson over here in the Gemara. When you have another Yid that could do a mitzvah and really wants to do the mitzvah, you should have the Mesiras Nefesh and go and approach him to do a mitzvah. So the Mesiras Nefesh that we have to learn today from this is that not to have the attitude, this is not mind your own business. The Rabbi used to always say, mind your own business. But when you see a Yid walking in the street and you can give him an opportunity to do a mitzvah, give him the opportunity to do the mitzvah. That's the modern step of Mesiras Nefesh today.
Even if you're not sure if it's a Yid, he might be a God. It's worth to ask. And the worst
to ask, correct. But you have to ask though. In this case, you have to ask before he puts on tefillin. You have to ask.
Isn't must also patience? Patience.
That's not the pshat here though. Could be, but that's in the Hebrew. That it means a matana. Sorry.
Matana to wait.
Looking in Rashi. Oh, okay, you're right. Yeah. Tana.
They should have waited.
They should have waited. Yeah, very good.
To ask her.
Yeah.
Isn't that more provocative that he took off her clothes? I mean,
could be it was just she had more. Yeah, she probably had more than one layer. I'm imagining. Sagt die Gemara weiter, Rav Gidl have rogel, have ka'ozel v'yosef ashari tefillah. Rav Gidl had a custom that he would sit at the gates where the women would enter to go into the mikveh. And Amalahu, and he would tell the women, Hachi tfilu, v'hachi tfilu, this is how you tevel, this is how you tevel. He would teach them the halachas. He wanted to make sure that they're teveling properly, and he would sit outside at the gate of the mikveh. Amri le Rabbanan. So the Rabbanan said to Rav Gidl, Lekamistifi marmi Yetzahara, are you not afraid from being here and doing this from the Yetzahara? So Amalahu. So Rav Gidl said to the Rabbanan, Damien ba'poi kikaki chivri. The women that are walking in are like white geese. In other words, doesn't affect them at all. He conquered his Yetzirah, and they're not attractive to him in any way, in any negative way, and therefore he can sit there.
Tzaddik of Tanya.
Yeah. Rabbi Yochanan, a similar story.
A few days ago we had in Tanya that you have to look at a woman with famous Molitzayah. How does it work?
Say that, but that's not exactly Damien kikaki chivri. That's something that a person has to conquer a temptation. This seems to be he's on a completely different level.
There's no shaykh.
There's no shaykh. It doesn't touch him at all. Rabbi Yochanan have a rogel, have a ka'osel v'yosef ashari tefillah. Rabbi Yochanan would also sit at the gateways of the entrance to the mikveh. And Omar, he had a different purpose. Omar, he said, Ki salkim b'nai Yisrael va'asyim mitfilah. When the Jewish women come out from the tefillah, mistaklim bi, they should look at me. Right, Rabbi Yochanan, the Gemara says in Bab Metzia, who had a beautiful, beautiful face, and a holy face, so they should look at my face, and they'll have beautiful, holy children like me. That's why, that's the source of the concept, right? Amri le Rabbanan. So again, the Rabbanan commented to him, like mistifi marmei nebisha. Are you not worried? So they actually asked him, are you not worried of a ayin hara? Okay, now they already understood that you don't have to worry about him.
What's bisha?
Bisha means negative. Negative. Are you not worried from a negative eye, from an ayin hara? Amralahu. So he answered, no, I'm not. Ano mizare de Yosef Ka'asina. I'm a descendant of Yosef, the Leshalta Bein Bisha. No Ayin Hara has any control, the affects the descendants of Yosef. The Pasuk says, Ben Peiris Yosef, Ben Peiris Alei Ayin. Yosef is charming to the eye. It's a simple pshat of the Pasuk. V'amar Abavo, Al Tikri Alei Ayin, that Yosef is charming to the eye, Elo Oilei Ayin. That Yosef is removed from the eye, he's above the eye. That Ayin Hara does not affect him. That's one source for the fact that there's no Ayin Hara for Yosef, the descendants of Yosef even. Another pshat, Rabbi Yosef Rab Chanina Amar, Rabbi Yosef, the son of Rab Chanina, says, Mehacha. V'yidgu l'roiv b'kerev haaretz. Yosef's children were benched to multiply, multiply in the land. And the expression that's used is v'yidgu, like fish. Ma dogim shebeyam, ma'im mechasim aleim. Just like the fish, the water covers them. V'ein ayin hara shalatis behem. And ayin hara does not affect them. Avzare shel Yosef, ein ayin hara shalatis behem. So too, the descendants of Yosef, and ayin hara does not affect them. Yibay Seima, a third source. Ayin shaliratis alazon mimashayin shaloi, an eye that did not want to benefit from what's not his. In the story of Eishes Potiphar, when Yosef ran out of the house, ein ayin hara shalatis bay. So as a reward for this, the Ayin Hara does not have any effect on Yosef or his descendants. Okay. We start a new minion. Zok the Mishnah.
The Rebbe, Lagabe Ayin Hara, what the Rebbe would say, Mandela Kopit, no?
Well, could be. I don't want to say exactly right now on the recording because I didn't check it up right now. But B'chlolis, you're right. The Rebbe's Hayra was that if you don't pay attention to it, it won't affect you. But there are people, and I know a certain individual actually, that the Rebbe that came to the Rebbe and told the Rebbe that they're traveling to a certain place, and the Rebbe told them not to go. And the person already made a ticket and was persistent about it. I heard the story from the Bala Maisa, and the Rebbe said, "This is dort nicht gut eigen." So it doesn't mean that Ayin Hara doesn't exist.
Well, maybe he knew that person cared enough.
Correct. But
Gemara says about Shaidim. Gemara says the same thing about
also about Shaidim? If you're not makbid, then
yeah, that's not what I know.
okay. Sagt die Mishnah, Noshim, Va'avadim, Uketanim, Tura Mikri Yishma. Women and Avadim, of course, and Avid Kanani and Ketanim, children, are potter of Kriyishma. So, when it says here that the Noshim and Avadim are potter of Kriyishma, what's the reason? Because Kriyishma is a mitzvah saseisha as man grama. Any mitzvah that's connected to a time frame, Noshim are potter from, and Avadim as well, in the same category as Noshim. Ketanim in this Mishnah, Ketanim, there's always a mitzvah of chinuch. So why are they potter of Kriyishma? So there's an argument of Rashi and Tosfos. Rashi says that it's speaking even about Ketanim that are of age of chinuch. They're still potter of Kriyishma, and the reason is because the mitzvah of chinuch is on the father, and to place this mitzvah of chinuch on the father, that his child should say Kriyishma, is not easy, that the father is not always available to make sure that his son should say Kriyishma, and therefore the Chachamim pater the father of being mechanech his children to say Kriyishma on time. That's Rashi's opinion. Tosfos disagrees though. Tosfos says that when you get to Kriyishma, it's the same like all other mitzvahs, and when the Mishnah says Ketanim apater, it refers to Ketanim shaloi higiu lechinuch. Once a child is of age of chinuch, a father should be mechanech his children to say Kriyishma before Seifsman Kriyishma.
So what's the tradition of saying no Ketanim?
That what?
According to Tosfos, if this is like
it's in Chanami, it's in the same category. Tosfos asks that question. Tosfos speaks about it, but that's the way Tosfos teaches this Mishnah.
Noshim also, it's man grama.
Okay. The Gemara, the Gemara is going to talk about it. It's the Gemara, so the Gemara will address what's the chiddush. Let's see. Uminat tefillin. They're also potter. Next page, Chafam with Beis. They're also potter of tefillin. V'chayavin b'tefillah. And they're chayiv also in tefillah. They're chayiv to daven. Mezuzah, they're chayiv to place a mezuzah on the door, or bebirchas hamazon. And for benching. Those are the three things that the women of Noshim, Avadim, and Ketanim are chayiv, as the Gemara will explain.
Rashi continues to go with.
That what?
See also the tefillah rachmeh.
What the Gemara is going to explain. That comes from the Gemara. Let's see in the Gemara. I'll explain that when we come to the Gemara. Sagt the Gemara, Kriyishma, the potter of Kriyishma. Pshita. It's obvious. Mitzvah sasei, shazman gramo. It's part of the category. That's your question, right? They're all mitzvah sasei, shazman gramo. Women are potter. V'chol mitzvah sasei, shazman gramo. Noshim p'turais. The noshim are potter. And for the Gemara, Mao the Taima, I would think Hoyel v'izba malchus shamayim, that this mitzvah is different. Although it's a mitzvah seishas man grama, but it's such an important mitzvah that you accept the yoke of heaven upon yourself. So I would think that this is a mitzvah that's relevant even for women. Kamash malon, therefore the Mishnah teaches me that nevertheless women are potter. But it does say in some poskim that although women are potter, but because it is malchus shamayim, the women should at least say the first pasuk of Kriya Shema, which is the main Kabbalah of El Malchus Shemayim.
Before the Zman?
No, I'm not sure about before the Zman. I mean, that's the mitzvah. But the saying the first pasuk, you might be mekayim the mitzvah menatayra according to some opinions that say that the first pasuk is menatayra and not the rest.
Can women wear tefillin if they want to?
No.
Why?
Because of the Nekayin Aguf, the Nekayin of the Guf. The reason why they're potter from tefillin is because of Nekayin Aguf. Let's see what the Gemara says here. It's also a mitzvah seishas man grama, right? Because it's only for by day and not for by night. But even if they want to wear tefillin, they're not allowed to because Nekayin Aguf.
Nowadays, we wouldn't wear tefillin if we weren't.
Uminat tefillin, sagt the Gemara, pshita, v'chayre it's pashut that they're potter. Mao, the Taima, I would think, Hoyel ve'iskish l'mezuzah. Since in the pasuk the mitzvah of tefillin is written right near the mitzvah of mezuzah, right? It says kshartam and then it says chsavtam. So I should compare them, and there should be an exception to the rule. They should be chayiv. Kamash malon, so the Mishnah teaches me I don't compare them, and they're potter. The chayavim b'tefillah, however, women are chayiv to daven. Why are they chayiv to daven? Zok the Gemara derachminenu. Because davening is begging Hashem for mercy, which is something that, of course, everybody needs, and therefore women are obligated even for davening. Now, the Gemara explains, what would be the svara that women should be potter? Mao, the Taime, I would think to say, since regarding davening it says, and that's the way the Chachamim were masakin davening. Chachamim were masakin that davening has set times. Shachris, Mincha, and Ma'ariv. So therefore it's like a mitzvah saseisha as man grama, and they should be potter. Kamash malan, so therefore we say that because it's rachmi, so therefore they're chayiv.
So where does it come from?
So there's two pshatim in this Gemara. Let me explain. First of all, what you see in this Gemara is, and this is the way the Alter Rebbe passes in Shulchan Aruch, and this is Rashi's opinion, that the ptur of mitzvah saseisha as man grama for women applies even for a mitzvah midrabanan. Taisvis, there are others that hold that the concept that women are potter from a mitzvah seishas man grama is only by mitzvah menatayra, not by mitzvah midrabanan. But this Gemara seems to say that even regarding the mitzvah of tefillah, the set times of davening, shachris, mincha, and ma'ariv is at takana midrabanan. Nevertheless, there would be a svara that they should be potter for that, and therefore you need a special chiddush that rachmi ninu and they're chayiv. Now, what does the Gemara mean when it says rachmi ninu and they're chayiv? And this is very, very negeya practically for the women to know what the obligation is for the davening of the women. So there are two pshatim in this Gemara. And the Alter Rebbe Shulchan Aruch brings both pshatim in Siman Kuf Vav. One pshat in this Gemara is Rachmininu. What the Gemara is saying is that the way Chachamim designed the takana, Shachris, Mincha, and Ma'ariv, it's takel gromit, Zman gromit. There's a time frame, and that the potter of. The chiddush of Rachmininu is that they're obligated in the mitzvah menatayra, which is Rachmi, which is when a person is in need, you should ask Hashem for Rahmanis, which has no framework, which has no time frame, that is. So the maskan of the Gemara is that women are only chayiv in the mitzvah minatayra of davening and not in the mitzvah midarabana. They're only chayiv in the rachmi. One second. That's one pshat in the Gemara. Rachminina refers to the mitzvah minatayra. The pshat in the ma'al, the time of the Gemara would mean, I would think that the Chachamim came and designed the mitzvah minatayra, that the whole mitzvah minatayra is fulfilled, dafka, when you do it in the time frame that they said, and otherwise there's no kiyum of the mitzvah minatayra. Kamash malan, that we separate the two. There's the mitzvah midrabanan, and there's the mitzvah minatayra. And the mitzvah minatayra remains rachmi. The Alter Rebbe Shulchan Aruch, according to this pshat, goes a step further and says that if so, the women are not even necessarily obligated to daven any of the tefillas, as long as they say the Brachos HaShachar in the morning, you say Brachos in the morning, you already have rachmi. There are things there that you're davening to Hashem for, and that's enough. They're yaitz the mitzvah minatayra. That's one opinion. But then the Alter Rebbe brings a second opinion, that the pshat in the Gemara when it says Rachmi Ninu is, the Gemara is saying that although it's the mitzvah midrabanan is a mitzvah saseisha man grama, and they should be potter, this is an exception. Because this is a very special mitzvah of Rachmi, although it is mitzvah saseisha man grama, they're still chayiv in the mitzvah the way Chachamim designed it in the zman of Shachris, Mincha, and Ma'ariv. But the Alter Rebbe this says, the women will only be chayiv to daven Shachris and Mincha, not Ma'ariv, because Ma'ariv is a Rishus, and therefore they will make that they don't have to daven Ma'ariv, but Shachris and Mincha, according to this Pshat, they'll be Chayiv to daven. That's the Chiddush of the Gemara, that it's Rachmi, and they're obligated to daven in the Zman of Shachris and Mincha. And the Alter Rebbe there in Shulchan Aruch says, V'chei Niker. The second Pshat is the Ikr Pshat, that women are Chayiv to daven. When the Alter Rebbe brings two opinions of Shulchan Aruch, and he writes V'chei Niker on one opinion, so you're supposed to follow that opinion. Obviously, b'shas atchak, if it's impossible, so you have what to rely on. You have the other opinion, that they said brachos in the morning and they don't have to daven at all. But the halacha l'maisa, the Alter Rebbe says on the second opinion, v'chei niker. Shachris and mincha. Shachris and mincha, not ma'ariv.
No, nicht bisman.
Bismanai. No, bismanai.
Rashi says, "Well, guys, pshita don't love the raisi." Mashma Rashi held that you don't say pshita because it's taken not the raisi.
I confused Rashi and Taisvis.
No, I'm just saying.
There's a machlekes. The point is, there's a machlekes whether you guide us in the Gemara that part of mitzvah seisha zman grama here.
Right.
So, and the machlekes is based on the fact: does the concept of mitzvah seisha zman grama apply to midrabanan or not? If you're not guided it, it's because by midrabanan you can't bring up the svara of mitzvah seisha zman grama. Yeah. So Taisus, I confused Rashi and Taisus. Taisus is the one that says that you are going to sit, and Rashi says you're not going to sit. The what's the Rishus? I can't hear. Yeah. Erev avoykiv tzarayim. If Erev goes on Ma'ariv. It's still a takana with the Rabbanon, but it's. The emes is that it's a machlekes if it's a reshus or a chayva. So the Gemara is quoting it according to the Mandama that it's a chayva, maybe. I'm not sure, but maybe this. It's an asmachta, yeah, okay.
But it's definitely not the same as mincha and shachris either way. Ma'ariv, it doesn't have the same.
Correct. At least that we paskin that Ma'ariv is a reshus.
This is the mucker of the fact that we may have shachris mincha Ma'ariv now.
It's a remez. It's right. Like you said, it's an asmachta. The Gemara later will discuss the source of shachris mincha Ma'ariv. So the Gemara weiter mezuzah. We learned in the Mishnah that women are obligated in the mitzvah of mezuzah. Pshita. Of course they are. Why not? Mao the Taime, so here I would think since in the pasuk it says the mitzvah of mezuzah and in the second parsha of Shema immediately following Talmud Torah, so I would think just like the pater of Talmud Torah, the pater of mezuzah, Kamash Malan, so therefore the Mishnah tells me that we don't compare them and they're chayiv in the mitzvah of mezuzah. With Birchas HaMazayim, we learned in the Mishnah they're obligated in Birchas HaMazayim. Pshita, it's obvious. Ma'u the Taimem, I would think that they're pater, hoy eliksiv, since the pasuk says, B'teis Hashem lechem, the Eibusha gives for you, be'erev, in the evening, basar, you eat meat, lechel, to eat meat, v'lechem ba'bayker, lizboya, and you satisfy yourself on bread in the morning. So the schedules of a person eating is also in a certain time frame, morning and night. Kim mitzvah seisha zman grama dami, it should be similar to a mitzvah seisha zman grama, and they should be pater. Kamash Mulan therefore teaches me that they are chayiv in Birchas HaMazon. As we'll see soon in the Gehemshech of the Gemara, there could be another reason that the women should be pater of Birchas HaMazon. Another thing that there's a chiddush that women are chayiv in, even though it's a mitzvah seisha zman grama, is in the mitzvah of kiddush and Shabbos. Devar Torah, they're chayiv min ha-Torah in the mitzvah of kiddush. Amai, why are they chayiv? Mitzvah seisha zman gramahu, it's a mitzvah that's connected to a time. V'chol mitzvah seisha zman grama, noshim p'turais, and noshim ha-pater of a mitzvah connected to a time. Amar Abaye midrabanan. So Abaye said, we only meant that they're chayiv midrabanan. Amar Rava, so Rava asks him, v'hadvar Torah kama? Ravada Barava clearly said that they're chayiv min ha-Torah. How could you say that it's only midrabanan? V'oid, kol mitzvah sasei nechayvinu midrabanan. If you're saying that this is a mitzvah they're pater of, but still they're chayiv midrabanan, so then apply the same rule for all mitzvahs sasei shazman grama. Why would this be different? You still have to explain what's different about kiddush that they would be chayiv midrabanan. Ela Amar Rava, so rather Rava said, Omakra zocher v'shomer. It says in the Torah, the Zocher and Shomer, which is of course in the Aseres HaDibris, that in the first set of Aseres HaDibris, it says Zocher, and in Parshas Eschana it says Shomer, and the Eibush actually said Zocher v'Shomer b'dibur echad, and therefore we learn out, Kol sheyeshne b'shmire, yeshne b'schire. Whoever is obligated to keep Shabbos, the loises of Shabbos, not to do malacha, is also obligated to remember Shabbos when it comes in, which is the mitzvah of Kiddush. V'hani nashi, so the women as well, hayol v'isnu b'shmira, since they're obligated to keep Shabbos and not do malacha, because it's a loisesa, so isnu b'schira. They're obligated also to remember Shabbos and to make Kiddush. That's the source. There's a machlokes, by the way, regarding Yontif. This is all about Shabbos, where there's this hekesh of schira and shmira. Regarding Yontif, there's a big machlokes whether women are chayiv in Kiddush on Yontif. I believe the Alter Rebbe Shulchan Aruch paskins that women are chayiv in Kiddush on Yontif, but only midrabanan.
Because of chayiv and shmira.
But the hekesh though of the pasuk says regarding Shabbos. It doesn't say it regarding Yontif. So the question is whether we apply the same hekesh there.
Based on this, can the woman be yoked with Shemana Esrei itself? The Kiddush of Shemana Esrei?
L'chayre, whatever applies to the women, a man applies to the women. I mean, a man is yaitze when you say in Shemana Esrei minat Torah, but the takanim of the Rabbanan is that it should be on wine. So the same thing applies for the women as well. Sagt der Gemara weiter, Amalei Ravina l'Rave, Noshim bebirches hamazon da'iraisa der Rabbanan. So now coming back to birches hamazon, are women chayiv in birches hamazon minat Torah, or are they only chayiv mit der Rabbanan? So here Rashi explains what's the basis of the Gemara's question. And Rashi says, because in benching we say, it's ala oretz atova, or in the pasuk it says regarding benching, ala oretz atova Hashem nosan loch, that we bench Hashem for the good land that He has given us. And the land is not given for the women. The Eretz Yisrael has been divided for the women, for the men that is. Rashi says, B'nai Tzalafcha took the portion of their father. Right? But when you divided Eretz Yisrael in general, it was divided specifically for the men. So the question is, because the pasuk says by benching al aretz hateva, are women obligated to bench or not? Lamay nafkemina. So he responded to him, what's the difference if they're chayiv min hatayr and midrabanan? Either way they're chayiv. So the Gemara answers, La fuki rabim yidei chayvasan. The nafkemina would be, could they be mitzi someone else's chiyuv? And the Gemara explains, if they're obligated minat Torah, asi the Eiraisa, an individual that's obligated minat Torah can come, or mapik the Eiraisa, and can be mighty someone else that's obligated minat Torah. But if it's midarabanan, eli yamrit derabanan ave, but if it's only midarabanan that are obligated, she'enoi mechuyev b'dava, have she'enoi mechuyev b'dava, so minat Torah they're not obligated. If you're not obligated, you cannot be mighty someone else in this mitzvah. So that's the nafkamina. They for sure have to bench for themselves. The shaila is if they could be mighty someone else.
So technically a woman can make kiddush for a man then.
Yes, based on what we said before. Correct.
Well, except for Yontif, she can't.
Correct.
Because the Rabbanon, the kiddush part is the Rabbanon. If you're meaning if the man davened Shemana Esrei, and was
that's b'chlala shaila. You're bringing up b'chlala another shaila.
Yeah.
What happens if a man davens Shemana Esrei in shul and now he's only chayiv with the Rabbanon and his kiddush? He comes home and his wife didn't daven Kabbalah Shabbos and she's still chayiv in Torah, and you're chayiv with the Rabbanon and you're being mighty her and she's chayiv in Torah. But the halacha is you can be mighty someone else with a mitzvah even after you have discharged your chiv of that mitzvah, because there's a din of arvos. That you're orev and there to be mighty someone else. So if you have the obligation, even if you already fulfilled it, but included in that obligation is an obligation of arvos to be mighty someone else. So you can be mighty someone else.
And then there's the union of tznius, right? Whether they could be mighty the rabbim, other people, right? Like Rabbi Mikra Megillah.
Rabbi Megillah, I don't know if it says mamash lashon of tznius. It says other lashonis on that. I don't know if it says lashon of tznius. It says that you shouldn't have a woman read because it's not covered that tzibur. That's the lashon that's used. Okay. Tosh might. So what's the halacha? Are women chayiv in birchas hamazon da'iraisa or the Rabbanan? Toshama says in a brayso, be'emes amru. The truth was said. Whenever it uses the term be'emes amru, it means that we paskin this way. Ben mevarech la'aviv, a child could bench and be mighty his father. Ve'eved mevarech la'rabbi, an eved could bench and be mighty his master. Ve'ishu mevarechas la'bayla, and a woman could do benching and be mighty her husband. However, the Chachamim said, a person should be cursed that he can't bench himself and he has to rely on his son or his wife to teach him and to bench for him, that is. That's what it says in this brayso. So what do we see clearly here? That a woman could be mighty her husband. So if you say she's obligated minat Torah, she's obligated minat Torah, she can be mighty you or you're obligated minat Torah. Eli Amrit the Rabbanon, but if you're going to say that she's only chayiv with the Rabbanon, Asi the Rabbanon and Mapik Dairaisa, she's chayiv with the Rabbanon, she could be mighty you and you're chayiv in Torah. So the Gemara responds back right away. But according to your logic, Katan, another case in the Brisa was the child, a Katan that's being mitzi his father. Katan bar chiyuvuhu, is a Katan obligated min ha-Torah? So how are we going to explain the fact that a Katan could be mitzi his father? Ella, what are you going to say? Hacha b'mayaskina. And the only way to explain the case of the Katan is a person that ate the father exactly ate a kazayis, and he's only chayiv in the rabbanon. Min ha-Torah, you only chayiv achalta v'savata. V'savata is at least a kibetza. So this person did not eat the shear of a savata, and he's only chayiv in the rabbanon. And now, in such a case, Shira the Rabbanon, the Asi the Rabbanon, and Mapit the Rabbanon. So the child, which is chayav for chinuch with the Rabbanon, could be mitzi, this adult that only ate the shir with the Rabbanon. So therefore you say the same thing also regarding women, that this Brisa is speaking about a case that the wife is being mitzi the husband that ate a small shir. But in a case that he ate a shir and he's chayav min ha-Torah, his wife can't be mitzi him. So the Gemara has no conclusion here, as you see. The Gemara is left with the question whether women are chayiv min ha-Torah with the Rabbanon, and if you look in the Rambam, Shulchan Aruch, La'alacha L'maisa, this is paskin as a suffix. The chiyuv of women in Brachos Hamazon is considered to be a suffix, whether they're chayiv.
Why does this not explain that it's the Rabbanon?
Now this is the Gemara just refuting the raya, but you could always go back and say that lav dafka. This brisa doesn't prove one way or another, but perhaps we can prove it from somewhere else. This brisa, because it includes the scenario of cotton, has to be speaking about such a case, but not necessarily is the brisa telling us conclusively that a woman is potter. Dorish Rav Avira darshan zimnin amalei mishmei Rabami. Sometimes he would repeat it that this is something that Rav Ami said. Zimnin amalei mishmei Ravasi. And other times he would say it in the names of Ravasi. Omru malachi asharos of Nei Hakadosh Baruch Hu. The malachim said to the Eibishter, Rebbeinu shel olam, Master of the universe. Kasav b'Torah secha. It says in your Torah, Asher le'yisa panim v'le'yikach sheichad. The Eibishter does not show a gracious face to anybody that doesn't deserve it, and the Eibishter does not accept any bribery. But then the Malachim asked the Eibishter, Atanais panim liYisrael. You do show that smiling face to the Yidden. Tichsiv Yisa Hashem panav elecha. That the Eibishter does good for Yidden even when they don't deserve it. So how is this so? Amalehem, the Eibishter responded to the Malachim. Should I not show that smiling face to the Yidden? I wrote for them in Torah. You eat, you're satisfied, and only when you're satisfied, then you're obligated to bench. And they're medaktik to bench even when they're not satisfied, even up to the shir of a kezayis or a kebetzer. Rashi brings it as two opinions about this, but even without being satisfied, the Yidden still fulfill the mitzvah, so the Yidden go to Mishur Sadin, do more than they're obligated, so therefore I respond to them in the same way, and I also show a smiling face to Yidden beyond what they do. Correct, that's under normal circumstances, but not when the Yidden middah keneged middah. This saying is brought in my Marim of Chassidus. There's a Maimon of the Rebbe about this. The Rebbe explains this Gemara in Avedis Hashem that a person in life has two options. What the Gemara is talking about over here is a person's life in general, the Avedis Abirurim of a person's life. If you want to go according to Shura Sadin, then there's certain things that a person has to do in this world in order to be mevarer and elevate to the Eibishter. And therefore the Eibishter brings a person, whether because of needs of parnasa or other needs to come to meet people, to come to places, to be there to elevate those sparks. But that's if a person goes al pi din. Al pi din, then he's going to have a more difficult time. He's going to have to actually go here and there to come and be mevarer those nitzaitzis. But if a person goes lefnim mishur sadin, so then the Eibishter will give a person a kayach to be mevarer the nitzaitzis that he has to in his life without having to actually go in all these places and all the tircha that it takes. But the nitzaitzis will come to him and be elevated much, much easier without having to go out of his way. That's the pshat, the teichen of this Gemara according to Chassidus. Okay, we'll stop over here.